It's my pleasure to be speaking with Joydeep Hor, high-profile employment lawyer, as well as an individual with his own personal brand, often asked to speak on TV about those issues. Joydeep, what advice would you give people discussing their former employer, not just from a legal perspective, but also from a personal brand perspective?
Starting with the legal part, regardless of whether employees signed anything at the time that they left or not, they do have obligations in relation to keeping confidential information confidential that might have been given to them when they were employed. They may well have signed documentation that commits them not to disparaging their former employer. So you've got to make sure that all of your legal obligations are well known, but that should be seen very much in the context of being consistent with the personal brand piece. And by that I mean that no one likes hearing, or very few people like hearing a candidate sit across the table from them in an interview context or a telephone conversation or whatever it might be, bad-mouthing their former places to work. And the reason why you don't like that is because you don't have any guarantee that that person has magically found their forever place to work with you. In all likelihood, it's probably going to end at some stage, the relationship with them, and that person will be out there talking about you potentially in exactly the same way. So what is actually happening is that in your attempts to comment on your former employer's brand, you're actually making the most stark comment on your personal brand.
Very good points. So practically, what tips would you give people about talking about their former employer?
I think as difficult as it might be, focus on the positives. Focus on the things that organisation did well. Focus on being able to infuse in your commentary about that former employer how clever and astute you are about what that organisation was trying to achieve. Talk about their culture, talk about their CEO's commitments, their values, their missions, all of those things, because what that does do is that tells a prospective employer that this is someone who doesn't just go to work and go through the motions of their duties and responsibilities. This is a person who understands or seeks to understand what an organisational purpose is all about. And sure, they're talking about that in the context of a former employer, but if they can talk about it and talk about it well in the context of a former employer, well, they should be able to talk about it well in relation to us, and potentially and preferably as a brand ambassador, as being an employee.